Welcome, 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 welcome back to night 2 of the Modern Streamers League. We are so glad to have you guys here. I have with me two excellent human beings, Andrea and Kevin. Andrea, please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Andrea. My name correctly pronounced is Capolo.
So, for anyone not aware, these are people that are going to give me incredible good one-liners all night. So I'm looking forward to them.
So originally from Switzerland, live in California right now. I like modern right now. I think it's pretty good spot. Used to love Legacy in the last few 4 or 5 months. Been enjoying it a bit less, but every now and then I still play some Legacy. That's about for me.
And Kevin?
Hi, it's Kevin. I love playing BGX in all formats. I'm one of the admins in the Rock Facebook group, and I made the Pioneer admin Facebook group also. So I love just playing all forms of BGX, which kind of got a good tool in Luris, which is why I'm playing in the tournament. I'm playing 2 Luris decks. And
what's the third deck you're playing?
The third deck is to completely troll Michael, and Francisco is playing Neoform. With a splash of a little bit of Abzan in the sideboard, I have 1 Siege Rhino in the sideboard of my Neoform deck.
Just for spice, we got the one Siege Rhino to stay on brand, which is absolutely wonderful. So how you guys, you've seen the brackets, you've seen the way the tournament's going to shake out. What's your general feel right now, Andrea? The bracket, the 3 decks, what's your strategy going into this tournament with what 3 decks you picked, why you picked them, and looking just like that?
So I was in panic mode. I didn't know what decks to pick. I've been enjoying that Shadow. I was not convinced about the Lurus version over Street Raid. I see D-Dog without the stream with it. I copied this list and I liked it. For the other 2 decks, I saw people doing well with Lurus Burn on Twitter, and I just like a net deck. Somebody posted a deck list with a sideboard guide, so I felt like
that's
pretty
free,
useful.
Yeah.
And the third deck was like humans. It's like, I think it's a powerful deck. It's proactive with some disruption, kind of like that Shadow, but goes a bit more bigger in creatures. And it's like the deck did well. One of the super PTQs. Just copied the list, played a bit, made a few changes, and that's about it.
Perfect. But you're in Redemption Road right now because you started 0-4 the last MSL. You're starting 1-0 right now. Does this mean we can expect a 4-0 start from you this tournament?
Probably not.
For last league.
Most likely not. Probably going to go 1-3.
A 1-3 drop.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll find out next week when you play again. Kevin, how did you approach this new format? But real quick, we just got a raid from Fluffy Wolf. Thank you for the raid. Thank you all for all of you joining the Modern Streamers League. Kevin was just about to talk about how he approached the 3-deck format.
Like I said, BGX is kind of right in my comfort zone, so I picked 2 decks I liked. I liked Abzan, and I think Jund is probably one of the best Luris decks, just with all the tools they have that's under 3 CMC, like Cruxa and Ren and 6, and then you run KKman to bring back your Luris. So Jund can just outgrind almost any deck, and Abs is just obviously just my favorite color combination, so I kind of just force that.
Yeah.
But I can't really play 3 Luris decks because I think I'll just get outmatched up, so I figured I'd just play 1 combo deck, something a little way out of my comfort zone. So that's kind of how I approach the tournament. It's pretty difficult because unless you're a player that's a jack of all trades that can play any deck, like Andrea, you could just pick whatever deck and always could do that. I was kind of struggling picking the 3rd deck just to kind of vary up the archetypes. So it was pretty hard going into it, but here we are. 2 Luris decks in Neoform.
Here we are. It's been weird from my end because I also have a Jund Luris deck, which, spoiler alert, you'll be seeing my very, very silly deck tech before my match tonight with my Jund Luris Tiger King ripoff deck tech. But it's been weird playing a Dark Confidant, Thoughtseize, Tarmogoyf deck without Liliana of the Veil. I haven't missed Bloodbraid Elf. But I've missed Huntmaster a little bit, but not a ton. I've really missed Liliana of the Veil. And Andrea, you said you were missing Street Wraith and Death Shadow, so there's definitely some losses in deck building that players are having to build around these companions. But I think so far their cost has been worth it. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. I mean, when I played against the Mirror last night, I was on Abzan, Willie Edo's Abzan list at top 4 of the challenge. And I played against just straight rock. It had Tireless Tracker and Liliana of the Veil. And Tireless Tracker is also another card that we have to concede. And the opponent just kind of just slammed the Liliana and just out-tempoed me. Like, getting Liliana on the draw when you play a turn over 2 is just, like, so backbreaking.
You're not winning.
Yeah, but on the flip side, like, when you have a late-game bomb in Lurrus where they, like, 1-4 on you go down, and I have an 8th card in a matchup that cares about every card quantity that you draw, so that in late game I just slammed a Lurrus, brought back a Bob, and they couldn't compete against that. So you do have some concessions, but sometimes it is worth it, and I think it probably just depends on the metagame, I would sure, because I feel like with Lurrus, you're also pulled a lot easier to graveyard hate. While regular rock, you might have Liliana and Tireless Tracker, where those don't fold to as much shard hate.
And even Dark Confidant, right? But you're built around Mishra's Bauble and Tarmogoyf and Lurrus and Kroxa and Renin 6. Now all of a sudden, Renin 6 is just ping 3 times. Like it's like a really delayed lava dart. It's not nearly as good. And if you can make Kroxa into a really bad Blightning, then that really shuts that down too.
Yep.
Yeah, in the Death Shadow case, I feel like losing Street Wraith is a bit of a downside, but not by much. Lurrus provides it a lot of advantage. The thing that I like the least is like losing really good cyborg cards like Ashiok and Plague Engineer. That's the thing that I actually is hurting more than having Lurrus. But I feel like in some of the matchups, Lurrus might not be useful in as a companion. So I could actually see putting Ashok's and Plague Engineer in the sideboard and just don't reveal Lurrus for game 2 and 3. So some change. Some change I would maybe do going forward to my list.
So the Humans matchup seems particularly rough for Death Shadow decks without Plague Engineer. I guess you can run Anger of the Gods instead, but Plague Engineer single-handedly shuts down so many decks right now, even stopping like the Vizier half of the Devoted Druid combo. It's just Infect stopping. You probably have a good matchup against Infect anyways, Death Shadow. Not great, as good as you would with a couple Plague Engineers on your side, but Lurrus definitely doesn't seem to help too much in matchups where you're not looking to grind, you're just looking to combo. Even a matchup maybe like Death Shadow versus Amulet Titan, Lurrus doesn't really do anything there.
Nope.
And maybe
one card.
Yeah. It's like, the Death Shadow you killed with your engineered explosives, I bring it back, but it doesn't matter because you already have 30 zombies. Game over.
Yep.
So tonight we have a pretty exciting schedule for you. We have Fluffy Wolf against Garrett Martin. We have Aspiring Spike versus Yamakiller. The commentators last night are playing tonight, Francisco and Drake. And then we have myself against Caleb Schur to close out the night. But I promise I will get that deck tech in before that match. See a little sneak peek at the deck I'll be playing there. So in just a moment, we will be starting up. I just have one last little fun question for my two hosts tonight. Andrea, what is your favorite Magic card?
That's a tough question. I think used to be Monastery Mentor, but I feel like right now it's Delver of Secrets.
Okay.
From like the past 2 years, Delver of Secrets took over thanks to Legacy.
I don't have to ask Kevin. It's just I'm going to answer for him. It's Tireless Tracker, and then he can tell me why. Yep.
It's a beta that draws cards and grinds. It's so good. I love Tireless Tracker.
I love the landfall mechanic as well. I love being rewarded for maybe running one land too many in a deck because I would rather land flood than get land screwed almost every single day.
It's a weird feeling. Yeah, well, it's a weird feeling when you're like, I want to draw a land late game. It's like, what? Like, in what other situation would you want to draw a land late game?
Amulet Titan often wants to draw one more land. So I mean,
That's true.
Amulet Titan and Tireless Tracker is like I'm actually not running Tireless Tracker in my 75 because I'm running Karn. You can't. There's no really no room for both. But it's such a good feeling in paper when I was running the two of them together, and it just was like Tireless Tracker, and they would do like Unmoored Ego, name Titan, and I'd be like, okay, I'm still gonna bounce land 3 times in one turn with Azusa and make a giant tracker and kill you. Absolutely great card. I haven't played as much with Delver of Secrets, but that's mostly because I don't play Legacy, and that's where that card is good, and it's not very good in Modern, although Aspiring Spike is rocking a Delver deck here in the Modern Streamers League. So
I've tried that deck, but I felt like it was a close version to Shadow, but I'd rather have Shadow,
yeah,
at least in Modern.
Yeah,
flying doesn't matter as much as a 1-mana 8/8.
it's a lot worse without
Double strike
brainstorm.
trample.
Double Strike Trample, absolutely. giving your Delver Double Strike doesn't seem to do too much. But Modern Streamers League is proudly sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and by Card Hoarder. We will be back with that first match, Fluffy Wolf versus Garrett Martin, in just a moment.
Hello. So we have Fluffy Wolf 2 perspective of the matchup.
Mhm.
It's playing against Garrett Martin.
Garrett is known to be an Abzan Coco player, pretty good at it. He jams Abzan Coco all the time, and I'm in a group chat with him, and every other day he's like, "Oh, I just 5-0'd with Abzan Coco." I was like, "Okay, cool." You all spin master trades. And then
Yeah,
Fluffy Wolf is a known brewer.
Yeah, I watch Garrett streams every now and then, and it's like out of nowhere, he always wins. I was
Yeah.
like, be afraid of Garrett. But I like Fluffy Wolf's deck lists
Yeah.
that they submitted for this, and we have the Red Godzilla or Hidaro.
The good old snapping turtle.
This deck is so sweet.
I'm feeling the companion just outshined how cool this card is. I think the turtle was actually somewhat modern playable. I really hope to see it gets cheated into play.
This was like a good hand. Just ship a Snapcaster.
Yeah.
If you play against any of the Coco decks, like their 2-drops are really important, so having spells not accessible is really good.
I mean, I don't know how good the matchup is, but I feel because I talked to Garrett from the Amazon Coco's perspective, and he says that he can fight through. Like he thinks Jun is actually a good matchup, which I was surprised about because he said he can just fight through all the removal. And now that we're looking at Fluffy Wolf's deck, he has some bolts, and that's about it. And outside of counter magic, that's all. And outside of bolts and snap bolts, that's all he really has access to break up his combo.
He has access to two magmatic sinkhole,
Hmm.
but I feel like you can cast probably one in the game. The second one is going to be super taxing on your graveyard, especially if you want to play Snapcaster.
Hmm.
So looks like Garrett is actually on the Abzan company list that is submitted of the three.
Hmm. And I talked to Garrett. I'm surprised he actually registered a list with Visitor Seer because he says he hates playing it online just because of all the scry triggers. When to actually go infinite, it actually wrecks with the time. And knowing how the competitive nature here of this tournament is, I'm sure Fluffy will concede if Garrett does have an infinite combo.
I agree. So, so the spell snare is just like sitting in the hand since Garrett doesn't have any of the two drops.
Hmm.
Actually, this list has less two drops than expected.
Hmm.
It doesn't play the devoted druid combo.
Nope.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Looks like it's just Heliod with Ballista or yeah, I guess it doesn't even and then he has like Kenshin Finks with Heliod infinite combo. And I guess the Viscera Seer is also with Raiders Red Cap to go infinite damage there too. So it looks like it's kind of an anemic turn for Garrett.
Yeah, I feel like Alchemist Charm could be good, either to take Viscera Seer out of the board, this a piece of the combo, or just draw two cards.
Yeah. But I was gonna say I was like if Garrett misses his third land draw, that'd be pretty bad. Kitchen Finks is a nice it's two to three combo, but it looks like he's gonna get an Artemis charm here.
Yeah, you need to counter any pieces because if Garrett has double of the remaining combo pieces, like you don't have enough mana to counter both of the pieces.
Mhm. It's interesting that you say that Garrett doesn't have enough a lot of two drops for these spell snares. And you're right, looking at the list, it's 4 NFS and 2 scavenging ooze. And I guess Fluffy really just wants to counter the scavenging ooze, so his Snapcaster stay online.
Yeah, bro,
Ooh.
keep firing those counters and
Mm-hmm.
hope for the best. Probably you just need to find like the giant turtle and start cycling it.
Come on, turtle, let's go. Oh, I think Fluffy's thinking of getting a Mystic Sanctuary to get back an Archmage charm.
Even a
He's,
Snapcaster just for pressure.
yeah,
I
makes
like
sense.
this.
Yeah. Looks like he's gonna get him for two. And
And
Garrett already got two of his Sphinx counter too, so it's gonna be interesting to see if he can apply more pressure to the board, knowing that Fluffy has an Archmage's charm now in his hand.
yeah, the hope for Garrett is to draw one of the Collected Company and or Court of Calling and doing end step, trying to have use all of the mana, but it just
Mhm.
goes in the main phase.
This is interesting. Fluffy's thinking about if he should counter the Heliod. And it's one of those things where in the Abzan Coco deck, Heliod either does nothing or wins the game. And in this case, if it's just racing here, I guess Heliod can put a +1/+1 counter on Viscerus here and kind of start winning the race. But I guess Fluffy thinks it's worth countering.
Also, usually the blue-red decks actually win with damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's less grindier than like a blue-white. So having something that can give lifelink could be a problem for the blue-red deck to close out the game.
Yep, makes sense. And these Snapcasters here are quite a fast clock, surprisingly.
Yeah, not surprised if Garrett is not using Vicious here to block. Maybe this
Mhm.
turn is the turn.
Where is the turtle? Says Fluffy Wolf in the chat.
Where is the
uh,
turtle?
oh man, Viscerous here coming in as a chump blocker is a big sign of weakness for Garrett, as he only has one card in hand too. As Fluffy has 3 cards and a known Archmage's charm. This doesn't
Also,
look good for Garrett right now.
yeah, and the card is not a collected company or a card of calling either. So
Hmm. And stomping his face was Fluffy. There's
and
the
we have
turtle.
it.
Oh no,
Cycle,
I don't.
cycle, cycle.
You gotta cycle first, Fluffy. Come on. All right, another 2 damage here. That's the thing about playing against these like blue red decks is like you fetch shock, and you know a bolt here, stomp there. Next thing you know, a Snapcaster Mage is lethal, and that's kind of exactly how you draw it up with these blue red decks. So Garrett ends step company here, and all I can really hope for is he has another company hand that he can just tap out with, but I guess not.
Murder Threat card. That's actually kill Snapcaster. That's pretty good. Can
Yeah,
buy lots of turns.
yeah. I mean, it kills Fluffy's one clock off the board, and now Fluffy kind of just has to. I mean, Fluffy has a lot of outs. I mean, he's definitely in the driving seat here. But unless he doesn't draw something with the Hellbent, with Garrett being Hellbent, he might be in a little bit of trouble with Murderous Ratcap doing 4 damage with the Noble Hierarch, Exalted Hierarch. Ooh, the second turtle.
Yeah, I feel like you just need to dig to those balls.
Mm-hmm.
The present
I,
borrower also is in the deck. That could be a good way to finish up.
and he also has a second Bone Crusher Giant left in the deck as well. So he definitely has a lot of outs if he wanted to cycle.
I feel like you should probably cycle main phase and leave up counterspell.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I guess
if
he
you
could.
cycle main phase, you can get like another Mystic Sanctuary. If you put Archimate Charm on top, and you have extra cards in your hand.
I think he was also pondering if he wanted to play Bone Crusher Giant. Uh, but I guess not as a way to stem the bleeding here. Ooh, Spike
Uh,
Feeder. There's the
so Remand
thought.
doesn't do much. I think you need to cycle Turf.
Hmm. I mean, I guess he can just get a tap Garrett out and try to dig into a bolt, but
Yeah,
doesn't
but
look likely here. So at this point, I think he probably wants to cycle right and try to dig into a bolt with the Spike Feeder on the stack.
yes, because otherwise Spike
Uh,
Feeder is like 6 more life.
yeah, and if he's gonna cycle anyway, I would have done a response. Oh, he's not cycling it.
It's maybe
Interesting.
planning to go for the long game and try to
Yeah.
just play the 8-8 confidently.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I don't think Garrett has any paths in his main board. So I mean, once it sticks, it's gonna stick. I mean, he is pretty close to hard casting it, so I
It's
wouldn't be
one land away.
surprised. Yeah, and with the Scalding Tarn, he could buy back Archmage's Charm, which is kind of weird because you kind of don't want to draw an Archmage's Charm. You kind of just want to draw a land.
I think if you're committed to this plan, you probably just want to like naturally draw land without fetching with Scalding Turn.
Mm. Yeah, turns out to be a really good game. And now that Murders Garrett has the Gavany Township, he can just put a +1/+1 kind of Murders Rat Cap and kind of just redo it. Ooh, and a
Oz is
Snapcaster is
rough.
a really good draw too. You can turn off, or a Scavenging Ooze to turn off any future Fluffy Wolf's counter magic and Mystic Sanctuaries.
I mean, you have the spells now here.
Hmm. So he made this play to buy back a counter spell. So I guess he's kind of delaying another turn for the mighty turtle. Oh, it's interesting.
Interesting line of plays.
Yeah.
I do like straight up cycling it. When I tried that card in standard, I was like, I didn't even care to cast it. I just wanted to cycle it 4 times.
Oh no, he drew the Bone Crusher Giant like a turn too late. Yeah. So now I think it comes to the point where he probably just has to. It's hard because he has mana to activate the Gavony Township now to put a +1/+1 counter on the Murderous Redcap. So I could see a line where you hope Garrett does that, and then in response to the Gavony Township, you can stomp the Redcap. But
Yeah, I
then
think
you also have to deal with Garrett having a 3/3 Spike Feeder with Exalted the following turn.
I feel like you want to maybe to try to kill the Spike Feeder whenever you activate the Township, but Garrett could just not activate the Township ever, so you cannot go to cast Stomp on the Spike Feeder.
Yeah. It's this kind of a cool game of cat and mouse here where it's like you kind of want your opponent to bite first. But if Garrett doesn't bite and Fluffy doesn't do anything, that's just also just a losing line.
Yes, it's basically 2 turns ish.
Fluffy's also kind of drawing the quote unquote wrong half of the deck where he's drawing these forces that kind of aren't doing anything. And then Snouse there he cashed in pretty good, but was kind of just rotting his hand for almost the whole game until Garrett finally casts a Scavenging Ooze. So I like passing the turn here because you kind of want to. I think stomping in response to the Gavony Township activation gives Fluffy the highest ceiling in terms of a game plan.
Yes, and here, would you kill Redcap or Spike Feeder?
It's hard to say. I think I'd probably kill the Spike Feeder just because it's part of a combo.
Yeah, I feel like you kill Spike Feeder just one because of the combo, and two is just because you need to have them not gain any more life, so you can kill them with damage if you can find. I don't even know what you can find because they go at 6 like bolt, snap, bolt, but then you're dead because they have 2 turns of attacks.
This is a really tough spot.
Yeah.
Like this game was insane because Fluffy was so ahead at one point with 2 Snapcasters going for lethal, and all of a sudden Garrett just clawed back. That one of Murderous Redcap pulled a lot of weight there. So Fluffy goes for the Murderous Redcap here. Takes 4 from the Spike Feeder. Oh, sorry. Like Noble Hierarch also got a +1/+1 counter, so might as well. I see.
So, you play around removal with that attack.
Yeah, Garrett not. Ooh, that Shockland hurts because now Fluffy can't hardcast the turtle because all of a sudden the Hierarch becomes lethal also.
I mean, you can. It's in 7 mana to cast the turtle. You can attack for 8, but that can gain 8 life. Yeah, so it's not even lethal.
But I think you have to. Yeah, I don't think there's. I guess he has to play Bone Crusher Giant and then pay the land and pass.
Yes, you play one of the 2 creatures and leave it for blocking.
Yeah. And that way, even then, it chump blocks, so he's kind of in the abyss because a Spike Feeder can go up to a 5/5, and then a 6/6 with Exalted.
I mean, you can play the turtle, and it's an 8/8, so you have 2 township activations.
But then you just die to the Hierarch on the crackback, though.
You don't attack with the turtle, just leave it back.
But then Garrett goes wide. He just activates Township twice. Like this, and then this turn and the next turn.
So Spike Feeder is going to be a 6 attacking.
Yeah.
So the turtle would have probably blocked it.
But then Hierarch would get around. If Fluffy played the turtle and didn't attack, Garrett just activates Township twice, and Noble Hierarch becomes with 3/3 and goes around it, and he's tapped out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I'm not in Fluffy spot right now. It's like, I don't want to think anymore. Right click, concede. Let's go to the next game.
Oh. And NF Fenza to top it off. Yeah, and the land isn't gonna do it.
So now it's dead on board.
Yeah.
It is just at least where the fence can be 4/4. So you have at least two, and Noble Hierarchy is going to be 4/4. So you have at least 8 damage passing through with a blocker.
It's crazy how that one top deck Murderous Redcap just swung the game. It's that little subtle 2-for-1 that took away Fluffy's clock, and all of a sudden Garrett just had a persistent creature that doesn't die to just one removal spell. Hey, we got our turtle. It's not gonna win the game, but we got what we asked for.
I really want to see a turtle with cycling it 4 times. That's what I signed up to watch.
We need to be a little more specific next time. Yeah, is Garrett even just gonna bother blocking? He's just gonna just grow his spike feeder up. Like, man, that spike feeder is doing a lot of work. Hmm. This is an interesting block. Also, I guess Garrett wants to save his spike feeder, which is smart. I can understand.
Yeah, and also you want to play around if opponent has Bolt,
Mm-hmm.
just in case you can gain your 6 life.
Garrett's playing pretty tight here. Yeah. So the cards that won Garrett the game here was like Murderous Redcap, a Spike Feeder, and a Gavany Township. Like those 3 cards pulled so much weight. Just the life that Garrett gained from Spike Feeder, and also getting those +1/+1 counters from the Gavany Township. All that combination of cards was just enough to get him across the finish line for game 1.
So sideboarding. For sure you want the Braid, Anger of the Gods. Eater Gods is pretty good too. Do you bring in Ashiok in this case?
I kind of like the Ashiok just because it stops the chords and the companies, and then it shuts off the Eternal Witnesses. So I kind of do. And then also just shuts off all the fetches too. I think it's worth bringing in.
I don't know if Blood Moon is the way to go. They don't have many basics, but they have plenty of mana dorks.
Yeah, I don't think Blood Moon is where we want to be against a deck with, and it can and Garrett's deck can kind of operate off just green and white.
Yeah,
subtly.
But sometimes they can't. That's the interesting part. It's like in some of the draws, Blood Moon is like the best card. In some of the draws, it's like useless.
Blood Moon Tech 101.
In some matchups, it's good no matter what.
Yeah. Oh, don't cut the turtle. Don't shave the turtle. Gotta keep all 4 in. I don't know. I think I think if we're gonna compare Blood Moon versus Ashiok, I think I'd rather have Ashioks in this matchup. I think the games you're gonna shut off Garrett casting spells with Blood Moon is gonna be probably less than the utility that Ashiok brings, shutting off Garrett's best cards in Court and Company. But I don't know. Ashiok does not stop company. I'm sorry.
But it stops the fetch, it stops core,
stops Ranger Captain.
Is Ranger Captain in this list? Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's Garrett.
It's Garrett. How would you describe Garrett Martin with a Magic card? It would be Kitchen Finks and Ranger Captain Wheels.
I feel like more Ranger Captain lately.
We need to get an alter Ranger Captain to put Garrett's face on it.
I feel like I would like overload and removal more than permission, but I haven't played against this matchup with Blue Red in a long time.
Yeah, I think I think you definitely bring in both the Braids and both Angers. I definitely think it's wrong to cut the 4th turtle off.
I mean, I feel like the right thing to do, like as a like a competitive way is to remove all 4 turtles in this matchup. But
No.
the lover of the card that is in me, as like I would not cut any of them.
I think I'd rather have the fourth turtle than the first Ashiok. Just for meme's sake. This cat is also kind of sketchy too, because he's kind of relying.
Cheap interaction too.
Ooh, Garrett Borden the Thought Season, which makes sense.
Goodbye remand, probably.
Yeah. So now we're kind of all in on the turtles now. This is why you should have cut the fourth one, Fluffy. Ooh, Anger was a good draw though.
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm looking at Garrett's sideboard, and I don't see much he could bring in. Probably like combo, like some two tosses, and that's about it. Maybe some
Yeah.
Night of Autumn if he expects Blood Moon, but I would not expect too much of Blood Moon, and you can play around it.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see Thought Seizes as kind of the only card he's boarding just to protect himself. Oh, he's unstepping it. Okay. So
Turtle.
Fluffy's draw steps have been pretty kind to him, drawing 2 removal spells and a card that buys back another removal spell. So Garrett is leading on with a modest start again. Just turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Hierarch, turn 3 Kitchen Finks.
And that's pretty good for Fluffy right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, just clean up the board with Anger next turn.
It's kind of hard to say. Like, do you want to be a little bit more greedy and hope he commits
No.
more to the board? I guess
You
you
have
should.
Snapcaster, you have Bolt, you have a Braid. I think you just go for Anger right now. I mean, you can put Anger and buy it back with Mystic Sanctuary. It's not unreasonable.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you wanted to buy it back, and looks like the answer is yes, according to Fluffy.
I feel like Anger of the Gods is a really good card. I've been enjoying it a lot since they printed it.
Mm-hmm. I was like, as a BGX player, I really and when you don't play Jund, because Double Red has been pretty hard up until when Croxor was printed and Ren 6 was printed. But I was really hoping like there'd be a black spell that kind of did the same thing. And if you notice, there's like no black spell that does -3 and exiles.
Yeah. Campbell came in. It's actually a decent synergy with Hilliard.
Mm-hmm. Gain life +1/+1 counter.
I guess Bolt doesn't kill it.
Ah, yeah, that's really, really awkward. And then he's gonna have to spend 2 rule spells on a combo. That's so gross. That's pretty gross. I wonder if Fluffy knew about this interaction because I wonder if he would have opted to go Bolt Snap Bolt instead, and then he could get a like have something of a clock represent sort of a clock.
Right, just like Snapcaster remand it and
Mm-hmm.
just find something like a
Yeah.
hard counter.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, Scavenging Ooze is a really good draw with double green up. So now again, it's a game of cat and mouse here where Fluffy hopes Garrett activates on main phase.
I think you.
Oh, but there's only one creature in the graveyard, so he can't really play cat and mouse.
I mean, one creature puts 2 counters on Ooze with heal. I think you need to remand it in order for them not to have green, and you can like safely bolt it.
Yep, good play. Good play by Fluffy, just going for the remand. And then he can just cleanly answer it with the bolt, and then also just drawing a card off the remand.
Oh, Veil
Oh, I'm gonna go on a mini rant here. Coming from the player that plays Thoughtseize, Watsy, why did you print Veil of Summer? Come on.
No, F6?
Yeah, he F6'd.
Because it would have put the Ooze as a 4/4.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Fluffy knew that. I wonder if Fluffy read that Garrett F6 and just bolted. That would have been a sick Jedi mind trick there.
So here, do you counter the Thoughtsis or you draw 2 cards with Archmage Charm? I would draw 2 cards probably and put it
Why?
back top.
If you're gonna draw 2 cards, would you want to just let it resolve, knowing that Garrett's probably gonna take the Anger of the Gods?
We can remand it now.
I don't know. I think if I was opposed, I think I would just let it resolve.
But I would
knowing that-
fetch with Mystic Sanctuary before remanding, so you actually... I mean, I guess it doesn't change much. You're gonna draw it next turn anyway.
And like you said, when game was happening, like Heliod is just kind of slowly just drawing out, like making these incremental advantages that's kind of overwhelming Fluffy on removal. He made a really good point.
Yes, all the removal, you kind of need to use 2 removal spells right now just because of the extra counters on all of the weird interactions that happen. We
Especially
need Turtle.
Yep. It gets kind of hairy with like scavenging using combo, as we just witnessed on game 2.
No Turtle bottom. Snapcaster is good.
We just need Fluffy needs to go on the snap off plane until he finds all his turtles and just.
And that was one of my first like decks in Standard I built with when Turtle got spoiled. I just built that deck that was just drawing cards until you can like draw the turtles and cycle it and draw cards and draw cards.
Second thoughts, using Garrett. And I mean, the other option is you could also snap remand this too, knowing Garrett does have another black source. Or you could just counter it. I don't know what the correct line here is.
I think I would not. I would probably like snap remand that. But also I want Archmage Charm in the graveyard for Mystic Sanctuary. But snap remand is fine, and don't fetch with Scalding Tarn.
I think, did you just let it go? I think you just let it go.
I would not.
I guess
only one black source.
I guess Fluffy's also thinking about if Garrett has a collecting company. I think that's how he quote unquote loses this game. I guess if he takes any of these cards, he has another counterspell left for Coco, I guess.
It takes Snapcaster. Let's see. Healer doesn't give Livelink. I don't know if it's representing anything with 3 mana from Garrett's side.
I'm surprised he didn't just give it lifelink, unless he's holding up something. Unless he's holding up like
Veil and Path in the 2 cards remaining. But I feel like Path is not in the deck.
I'd be surprised if Path was in. So now Garrett's playing into Fluffy's Anger, which is kind of an awkward spot because then it takes away Fluffy's Clock.
I mean, you could steal it instant speed right now. You can steal the Noble Hierarch. I mean, it's not like...
I mean, do you want to steal it, though? I think I'd rather just save the Archmage's Charm and just play the Anger next turn.
Yeah, most likely.
Which is awkward because you really don't want to spend an Anger on a Viscera Seer and a Noble Hierarch. And again, I think that just goes back to how, like, much work Heliod is doing. Heliod is turning these a mana dork and a 1-mana 1/1 into a first-reversible threat.
So, Archmage Charm during 2 lands is not good. But I think you need to anger right now because otherwise the creatures will go out of anger because of Heliod giving counters. Well, anger plus Blood Moon is... I mean, Blood Moon like, stops the coming black spells, but actually helps casting Murderous Red Cap. Fixing.
Yeah.
But Garrett can cast everything besides Eternal Witness and Spike Feeder after a Blood Moon.
So if Fluffy boarded in the Blood Moons and cut one of the turtles, how good would the turtle be right now?
That would be pretty good.
But this is how he sideboarded, so I think he just has to slam the Blood Moon now, right? I don't think he can just not cast it. But then again, the thing about it is if Fluffy plays a Blood Moon, it also turns off his Mystic Sanctuaries too. So he should
I don't know
probably.
if he has more than 2. He has only 2 in his deck list. I would be greedy and play all 4.
Ballista for 2.
That could actually be problematic. It's like almost lethal next turn.
He wins the game.
It's lethal.
Yeah, that's game over. What a top deck.
Always lucky, Garrett.
Wow. Always lucky. Yeah, he just. The Blood Moon kind of did work there, quote unquote. I mean, if to prevent the combo, like Garrett only has 1 white source if Fluffy had drawn into a removal spell.
Yeah, but now Garrett just kills him as lethal.
Yeah.
Just the BM attack for no reason.
Yeah.
I guess to put an extra counter on Ballista in case of like double removal spell.
Yep. But now Garrett just combos off. Sorry, Fluffy. I was rooting for you.
Yeah, was rooting for the turtle.
I was rooting for Turtle there too. Turtles just need to win. But unfortunately now, the only Turtle deck in the Modern Streamers League eliminated from the tournament just like that.
I almost registered 1, but I was not confident in the list that I had, so I just decided not to. But maybe the next one I will bring Turtle.
There was game 1. There was missed lethal on Fluffy Wolf's end that the chat pointed out. When Garrett was at 2 life before he drew the Spike Feeder, Fluffy could have remanded his own giant, Bone Crusher Giant, put it back into his hand, and then cast Stomp to deal the final 2 damage. Great line the chat saw before the Spike. He had like a turn or 2 before a Spike Feeder hit the table where we were all, you guys were saying, you gotta draw a Bolt, you gotta draw a Bolt or a Stomp, and then he drew it like a couple turns too late. But he had the Stomp, as the chat pointed out, right there.
It was the Exile Zone.
Oh. I forget that you can cast the adventure
and then you Stomp again. Cool interaction. Level up moment once again here in the Modern Streamers League. Just like yesterday, we saw that amazing K-Ponce Ghost Coder line he did. Absolutely fantastic. So that was a cool match. Garrett moves on, keeps all 3 of his decks. Really brutal. It looks really brutal in this particular tournament when you lose a deck, because not only the way the bracket works, you then have to play more matches to get back up into the thing, but then you lose a deck as an option to play with. Absolutely. I mean, Andre, you didn't lose. Kevin, did you lose? I can't remember if you lost yesterday.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just move on to the next match.
Well, you can probably give me some heat when you see me play and see if I make any mistakes or things like that. So next up in the Modern Streamers League, we have Aspiring Spike against Yama Killer, 2 great Magic players. So this will be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Lurus. This looks
Yep.
like the Delver list.
Looks like it's spiced on some sweet Grixis Delver Lurus. And Yama Killer has been a known streamer. Yama streams very, very frequently. And Aspiring Spike also streams very, very frequently. I'm actually a big fan of Aspiring Spike's brews and his style of streaming.
And Yama revealed the Chancellor of the Tangle, the one that gives you extra green mana. So we know the matchup.
Yep. Right
This
away.
hand doesn't look too great against Neoform so far.
Yeah, I wonder if Aspiring Spike was kind of gambling here and hoping he wasn't on Neoform because he would kind of have to mold aggressively to force some negation.
Yeah, but Aspiring Spike is playing like a 4 Force of Negation, and maybe was hoping to get the first one in his first card selection spell.
So, playing a lot of Neoform before this tournament, the deck can still fall apart here. The deck still needs to have 2 Nourishing Shoals to kind of fully go off, and if 3 out of the 4 Nourishing Shoals are on the bottom half of the deck, then Yama can fail, but it looks like he exactly
Plus already 2 of them.
Yep, so it looks like
The
it's
third
all wrapped
one.
up.
I haven't played any matches with the Neoform deck. I wanted to try it, but I always felt like I was not ready enough to understand all of the lines.
I think the thing about the deck is the deck has a fail rate even if you have a turn 2 Griselbrand, and I think that's just one of the things you just have to accept. And you have to mulligan pretty often because it's kind of a 3-ish combo-ish deck, 3-card combo-ish, where you want it's technically a 2-card combo with Allosaurus Rider and Neoform / Eldritch Solution, but you still need 2 green cards to cast it. And it's kind of difficult to... I think the difficult part of the playing the deck is really just assessing the Molothians.
So did Aspiring Spike do 0 sideboarding? I didn't see exactly what it's sideboarded, but I saw the Collective Brutality were in the sideboard. Still, I don't know if he brought in the Fluster Storms, maybe.
I mean, you can... It's kind of a loose sideboard to kind of bring in the Mystical Dispute to counter the Neoform, but not the Eldritch Evolutions. And you see Yama just mulligan Oblivion and just concede here. It is literally just saying where the deck kind of just mulligan aggressively, and you end up just having 4 cards in a combo deck where you kind of need lands also.
Giving us some time.
Yeah, you see the smile that Aspiring Spike has where he's like, all right, I didn't cast any spells and won the game.
I feel like this hand is okay. If you don't have turn 1.
On the draw,
is
kind of hard.
This hand looks even worse, probably.
I think oh my god. He's like, where are my force negations here? Oh gosh.
You probably keep this one.
Well, yeah, hope Yama goes off on turn 2, and then with the Neoform and he has a dispute.
Yeah. Have you tried Sprite Dragon at all in like any format?
I have not. It seems like it's a nice tag team partner with Delver, though, I've seen in Modern. Have you?
I've tried it in this list and I've not been impressed. Feels like too slow, I don't know why.
Yeah. Ooh, Spike got to untap. That's pretty clutch. So, and now he's just hoping that Yama goes for a turn 2 Neoform.
Or turn to nothing.
Yeah. Turn 2 nothing is also good for Spike. But here, the thing about it is, Aspiring Spike also needs a clock here because Yama could just be spinning his wheels here, but I'm assuming Yama boarded in some sort of answers to counter spells. He has 4 Pact Negations in the sideboard and 1 Veil. I'm assuming they might have come in, so yes. Spike could be drawing counter magic, but Yama could also be drawing anti-counter magic also.
Also, Yama is playing with 3 Veil of Summers already in the main board. That's really interesting how this deck adapted.
And that's kind of a huge meta call. You can either go between Veil of Summer or Dissenter's Deliverance. Veil seems like because like if Veil doesn't really do anything in non-black or blue matchups, but the Sender's Deliverance does, because you can just simply cycle it. But Veil of Summer has a higher upside obviously against discard spells and protecting your combo.
Yes, it's pretty good. I feel like Aspiring Spike can just like snap up end of turn, and then you have, I mean, it's 10 turns of pressure, but that's probably all you need with like triple Force of Negation and a Mystical Dispute.
I mean, it's hard enough for Neoform to fight through one Force of Negation. Inspiring Spike has 3.
Yeah, I think you probably cast the Sprite Dragon here. Just increase the clock, shut down the door.
Yeah, and then get the +1/+1 counter from the Mishra's Bauble. Yeah, I think Aspiring Spike is close to 100% here, unless Yama can land a Illustrator's Rider.
It's a Delver, probably you want to fetch away. I don't think you need another form of pressure.
Yeah.
But it's a blue card for Force of Negation. That's
I was just going to say. Yeah,
I feel like it's not going to play it as a creature.
Mm-hmm. I think Yama's at 0% right now to win. Aspiring Spike has a face of confidence.
Yes. So even if you play like Allosaurus Rider, you let the resolve. Then you can you have double counter for the sacrifice spell and the Veil of Summer, but there is no Veil of Summer.
Nope. So Yama needs like another pact here, or 2 packs.
Yeah, in the 2 cards that he has left in his hand, it's like really unlikely, but it's not impossible. Yep. As you saw last night with Ryan having like double Force of Negation against me, Pact of Negation against me.
That was maybe the shortest match in Modern Streamers League history. We saw some enticing, really enthralling magic there, game 1, where the winner didn't cast a single spell. But that is what Neo brand, Neoform, meme brand, whatever you want to call it, Memo form.
Rhino form.
Rhino. Have you ever cast your Siege Rhino in your Rhino form deck? Because if you have, I will stop giving you flack for it. But if you're running Siege Rhino in there just to pull on the spiritual power of the Siege Rhino and have it bestow its blessing upon you for playing the least green-black X deck in Magic history, then it's a little loose there, Kevin.
Have you ever boarded it in?
I wanted to against one of my opponents, but I was like, no, I need to be a little more serious here.
Maybe you would have won more leagues with Neoform if you did main board a Siege Rhino.
Probably. I mean, you can pitch down Source Rider, so
you can, and you can also cast it, right? Don't you remember Metamorphose?
Yeah, and Gemstone Mines.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So right now, I am very happy. Thank you, Aspiring Spike. My hatred for Neo Brand is wide known. Yamakiller, great player, great guy, but I hate that the deck he was playing. So I am personally glad to see one less Neo Brand deck have a little like counter. One less Neo Brand deck in the Modern Streamers League, and Francisco and I can breathe a sigh of relief. One less Neo Brand deck we potentially have to play against. So I'm very, very happy with that. We still have to take down Kevin's Neo Brand deck.
It's waiting, lurking in the dark.
So the next matchup we have is the commentators from last night, Francisco versus Drake. And if I pull up the deck lists they have here, Francisco has Amulet Titan Karn, Astral Ren, and Niv to Light. So he's choosing one of those 3 decks. And Drake has Humans, Jund, or Amulet. So we could see an Amulet versus Amulet mirror coming up here. Andrea, if you were Francisco, which deck would you play in this particular matchup, knowing that Drake can only play Humans, Jund, or Amulet here?
Probably Amulet. I feel like, I mean, Niv to Light can grind through Janda and humans pretty easily, but I feel like it's an auto lose to Amulet. So I feel like probably Amulet is the right choice, but then you can face the mirror. But Francisco is really well versed with the decks, so you can probably navigate the mirror really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Drake is
feel
an
like
amazing player, but in an amulet versus amulet matchup, I'll give a slight nod to Francisco there. Absolutely.
Mhm.
yeah, Francisco has like probably thousands of games on Amulet more than Drake.
I think thousands this week. Kevin, if you were Drake, Humans Gen and Amulet against Francisco, which deck would you play, knowing you're up against Karn, Amulet Titan Karn, Astral Ren, or Niv to Light? And for those who don't know, the Humans versus Amulet Titan matchup, if you know what you're playing against, Humans players can mulligan for Meddling Mage, which can really, really hurt the progression of an Amulet Titan. So I'd actually give that slightly to a Humans player, especially with open deck lists.
I think it's hard. I think Drake. I would have played John just because I think actually I could play against Francisco, who has Titan and Asteroid, who I can probably grind, and then Nif to Light is just almost unwinnable for John. I wouldn't play that. So I'll probably lean towards Amulet just because it has the highest ceiling against the Dirtily 5C decks and the Astral Ren decks. Humans is kind of an interesting choice, but I think Humans also might just fold to the Nif to Light deck, which I would be kind of scared of. So,
which you can't really accurately name that removal against that deck because it just every other card is a different multicolored removal spell. So it's like you name Lightning Helix and they're like, well, I have Assassin's Trophy. You name it Lightning Helix and Assassin's Trophy, and it's like, well, Kaya's Guile.
Solar
and
Blaze
just eats humans up, and there's 2 Ren and 6 decks in that Francisco pool there. So
and I think this goes back to when you approach your matchup, you kind of have to be like, whoa, I wonder what my opponent is going to do, and if my opponent's going to do this, I'm going to do this. But if he thinks I'm going to do that, that's like a rock paper scissors that's like constantly rotating. So it's kind of a cool dynamic going
really,
into it.
It's something I really like about this format because there's interplay within the matches where, like last league, we knew what the decks were beforehand. So I personally was like, oh, I'm going to be playing against this deck. Let me run through it a couple times, see how it plays out, and I could kind of get a really good sideboard plan and a matchup plan for the deck I was going to be playing against because we had a week. So I had a whole week to like know what I was up against. So it was really, and I took advantage of some of that time. So it was a lot easier in that regard. Now with this round 1 3 versus 3 action, you don't have that same level. You do have a little bit of like if they pick the exact deck that I'm worried about, what's going to happen here? So I think that's very interesting. Hopefully it's engaging as well.
And people can't main deck Smash Smithereens, Garrett.
Garrett's like, I'm pretty sure St. Doom's going to be on Stoneforge Mystic. Let's main deck Smash to Smithereens. Didn't matter. I was unstoppable. I was unstoppable that league. Hopefully I'm unstoppable this league as well. So in just one moment, we will have Francisco versus Drake. We'll see you then.
we are back with Francisco View. Let's see what he chose.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Niv
like
Mizzet.
Niv Mizzet.
Do we know what he's playing against yet? We do not.
Mm-hmm.
There is no companion reveal from Drake, so it's not on humans and it's not on Jund. That says it's probably Amulet.
It's Amulet, yeah.
Power of deduction.
If others don't know, Drake Sasser is a great player that's grinding the SCG circuit, and Francisco is a very known, very popular Amulet Titan player who knows all the ins and outs of all the different versions of Amulet Titan. So, and I think Drake playing against Francisco on Amulet's gonna kind of favor Francisco because I'm sure he knows all the lines for and against Amulet.
Yeah, but I feel like Drake knows good amount of the deck as well.
Yeah.
So I think Francisco doesn't have any disruption for now. Mm-hmm. So it's probably just go for like a run into Ura, into Hope.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of those things where this is different from last year, where last season we knew what deck we were playing against, so we can kind of mold it aggressively to a hand that's good in the matchup. Here, Francisco's like, I don't know what. I mean, if Drake plays Jund or humans, like Renin 6 and Lightning Helix are all really good against him. So
yeah, it's really hard to like figure it out and keeping good hand, especially game one. When it's like you're playing a league, it's like you almost don't know what you play against unless you play against Sodek and you know you're gonna play against Dredge.
And he registered 2 of the same Dredge deck, which is really funny.
Oh, Renin 6 is good to kill the Tribe Scout.
Yeah. And Drake not having any other mana development, he's going to be kind of slow. He can catch up by maybe casting Azusa.
But he has a Simic bounce land in hand. And I feel like Azusa should be a Titan this turn. Wish we had Francisco in here to like tell us how much mana we can do this turn with what card.
I'm sure he knows.
I played a bit of Amulet and I was always confused on like what you can do. If there is an amulet, another amulet, maybe you can Titan this turn. If he has an amulet, another like, explorer, maybe the Dryad, he can cast Titan if he has Titan in hand.
It's always nerve-wracking being on the opposite side. It's like, is my opponent counting? And if he's counting, is he have enough mana to go off here? 3 mana means
the Dryad, probably.
Yeah, or Dryad.
That allows Drake to have 4 mana for now. Because he can play. No, I already played the Radiant Fountain, so.
Yeah, so I don't think he has Titan this turn. It's a pretty slow start from Drake.
And he decides to keep the bounce land into play. That might signify that he has another bounce land in hand. Just because you want always one bounce land in hand when you have an amulet, because it's going to generate you more mana than everything play.
Yep. So here, I'm saying Drake has a anemic start, but he's not really getting punished for it because Francisco doesn't really have that fast of his clock. You can't really.
You can ping the Dryad with Ren and Helix the Dryad, but it's like not a really optimal play.
And you can't escape the Uro either.
Yeah, Uro's gone a long time away. Ooh.
So Francisco's kind of drawing.
So now it's probably gonna ping and Helix, unless he's the expert, so you might think that the Fed is good enough to maybe just bounce the Dryad and he's gonna. Francisco knows how to play against his own deck.
I think that's what he's doing here right now. He's in the tank on what his line could be. I think if anyone's tuned into the Lotus Box tournament, there was a famous round where he won and he did a little epic Francisco dance. I'm hoping he does that today if he wins.
Yeah, I tuned out for a bit of the tournament, but like the clip was like all over Twitter like a few hours later. So it was awesome.
Yep, and he does the line you think of, just get rid of the Helix now.
That's the line I would have done because I don't know exactly what to do.
I don't know what, because I think I'd rather just get rid of the Dryad now versus bouncing it. I guess when you bounce it, you can draw the card, but I think I'd rather just bounce my own Astrolabe the following turn just to dig more.
If Drake has a bounce land, it's a Titan, but this is not a bounce land. It's a fountain. Oh, it's another Dryad.
He's gonna. This is a very mid-range version of Amulet right here.
The Dryad attacking. I don't think I've ever seen Dryad attacking.
So now we're kind of back to square one again with Francisco, but he doesn't have a Lightning Helix to answer the Dryad, so he could bounce it.
Yeah.
And Francisco's like Ren and 6 flooding here, where he's not getting much value in this matchup.
It's just good to kill the Tribe Scout, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you develop your mana.
Mm-hmm. So Thoughtseize is a good draw. Coming from the Thoughtseize player, Thoughtseize is a good draw.
Yeah, Thougeize is a pretty good draw. Let's see what Drake is working with. We have a Dryad, a Titan.
Mm-hmm. So we want the Dryad that we bounce. So, I mean, you just default take the Titan.
Yeah, I feel like you have to take the Titan. But
so
that's what I would take. That's what Francisco would.
So I think Drake did mess up, right? Because you know how you mentioned you wanted to keep the bounce land in hand? He would have been able to cast a Titan if he bounced another land and had the bounce land in hand. He would have been able to cast Titan last turn.
He did not have the bounce land in hand.
That's just saying, because I think when he played the Growth Chamber, he bounced, I think, the Radiant Fountain again.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So the Dryad color fixing the forest, giving red mana to give it haste and deal with those planeswalkers.
So Goblin, 3 mana Goblin, a 5 mana Goblin guide. So do you go for Niv here and try to hit something good, or is there any card that you want to hit from without Niv?
I think Niv is the highest ceiling. I don't think there's a specific card in Francisco's deck that just turns off Amulet Titan. I don't think there's like a Nevermore effect that's multicolor that he has. I guess he could go for one more ego. Yeah, he could go for one more ego and.
Or Assassin's Trophy, the bounce land, I think it's way too cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is Unmoored Egos probably. There is no call against commands. Mm-hmm. That's also interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like shatter the Amulet. But I think it's too late right now for the Amulet.
Yeah, because Francisco knows about the Pact Navigation too. So I think
either go greedy and get Niv, or go save.
He goes for the Companion. That's an interesting line here.
I didn't actually think about that, but
because I guess he knows about the Pact Navigation, so I guess he wants to get the fastest clock on board right now. Because right now Drake's hand kind of does nothing, and this your Companion can race the Dryad and play.
Yeah. So you cannot pay for Pact of Negation for now.
You can with the Dryad.
Oh yeah, it's 5 mana. It's like not 2. Not 4.
So now Drake is just digging for Titan. So he has 1 Pact and 3 unknown cards.
I think you should go for Bring to Light.
The following turn, yeah, I think it's good to have to go for Bring to Light.
I think they should have given Giganta Vigilance, so you can attack for 5 and then cast your 5-mana spell with all of the colors. With how they make some of the companion really powerful, they could have give Giganta at least Vigilance.
I mean, Lurrus has lifelink, so I mean, I think it seems fair. So Drake's in the tank here. I mean, I don't know what else. Oh, he has. So you can, if he has a Titan in hand, you can Titan here.
Yeah, Francisco looks a bit disappointed. Hopefully, Drake will not have a Titan. Hopefully for Francisco. If you're a Drake fan, hopefully Drake has Titan.
I just want Francisco to know that the face he's making right now, this is just karma for tightening other people.
Solaria was probably
so
for Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, so he can tighten next turn. So I think what Francisco can do here is if he draws another Lightning Helix, he could cast Bring to Light, bait the pact, and then Helix. Oh yes, 2 Dryads. Never mind. I was gonna say you can kill the Dryad and Drake can't pay for the pact, but now he has 2 Dryads.
Yeah, it's not great.
So now you just have to go for it, and it is cute that Giganta you can just easily pay for Bring to Light by itself.
Yeah, but then you leave your Renin 6 exposed to attack.
Yeah. But I think at this point, I don't think the Ren 6 is doing anything per
and
se.
Also, you cannot use the white, red, and black for Bring to Light because you need to pay for specific mana.
Oh, that's what he was thinking too. He thought he could get away with it. Which is fine. I'm sure he'll draw on the spells that'll.
And that's why you might want to have Slaughter Games instead of Unmoored Ego.
Slaughter Games would be a lot better. So now Unmoored Ego is very, very tempting because but Drake has the pack, so do you kind of just have to go for the Niv just because it can't get, he's probably not going to counter it?
I think you go for Unmoored Ego because if he packs, you have one more turn.
Yeah, that's fair.
Titan gets down, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. I think he can pay for Pact. He has a bounce land in hand. He could actually cast the other Pact and go for Titan.
Mm-hmm. So now he's just going for the Uro. Yep. Yeah, Francisco doesn't look like he's in a very good spot here, knowing that Drake's gonna aimlet, Titan into it. Yeah, I don't know if Francisco has any way out of this game.
I mean, Titan is not lethal because Titan can get Valakut and Field of the Dead, or Valakut and no, you cannot get the Vesuva because you can only copy lands that are already in play. So you probably get Valakut and Field of the Dead, and then the next land gives you an extra zombie. And
that's the thing, though. I think the fact that Drake has 2 Dryads here, Francisco's gonna have to find a way to kill them. Otherwise, he's just gonna be able to just get Valakut out of here because Drake can just get a bunch of Field of the tokens and Francisco just cannot attack through with the Uros. I guess he does have the Solar Ray, so he can get 1 attack in, but then the subsequent turns, I don't know if he's going to be able to beat a bunch of zombies.
Yeah, so Barin Shot is saying that it's actually lethal if it gets 2 Valakuts, but needs to bounce maybe the Haste land with the last one. Yeah, he needs to bounce the Haste land with the last Simigroth. so you can actually give Titan haste. No, it does not do that.
Maybe just playing for the long. Well, I don't think he has an extra land drop because he has to pay for the pact, and then he.
1, 2, 3. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
You cannot bounce the. In double Valakut, I don't think it's lethal. Yeah, you can get the copy the Hasteland with the Vesuva.
Mhm. Yep, and Francisco just concedes.
And this is why when I played Titan only once, I didn't do well. I have no idea what I'm doing. So Francisco
So-
brings in like
Francisco bringing in the boils is very, very spicy. Being able to just
I've seen a lot of players actually having like boils in the sideboard just for this matchup.
hoping they just Armageddon your opponent's lands.
It's gonna get few of your lands, but it's not gonna be as
Mm.
backbreaking. And then you bring in like some like Dovin's Vita extra counter spell for the packs. Probably it's too slow for the amulets. And Ashok is like a really annoying card for the amulet side.
I think Ashox is the key sideboard card here. I think boils are really key, but Ashox being able to shut off the Summoner's Pact, the Tolero.
Looking at Drake's sideboard, yes, 2 Timeless Trackers are probably pretty good to bring in. So maybe Mystical Dispute, I feel like it can get in. And probably the Asper Field of the Dead, just because it's a grandy matchup and you just want to have access to another Field of the Dead. And it's probably from the main board, it's gonna like cut some Engineer Explosives. Maybe Tribe Scout is not that good against Ren and 6, so it might get cut.
Yeah.
That's my random assumption of sideboarding with Amulet without experience in it. I mean, I had experience, but it was really bad because I didn't know what I was doing. So it looks like we're waiting on Drake to finish sideboarding right now. It's interesting, like 4 Assassin's Trophy. I don't think I've ever seen like 4 Assassin's Trophy in an Niv Mizzet at least before.
I guess it's just a catch-all. I mean, you don't mind ramping your opponent if you're just going to go over the top with your own 5/5 dragon that just
It's
draws a
been
bunch of cards.
It's been pretty good when in that shadow against the Amulet deck. Just
Mm-hmm.
blowing up a bounce land is pretty good.
I think that's always the kind of the debate when you play BGX is do you want how many trophies and how many abrupt decays? And I've noticed that the number of abrupt decays have kind of just fallen off because you kind of want a card that destroys all the planeswalkers, all the big threats, et cetera, et cetera. So you kind of want to, I guess, err on the sides of more trophies than decays.
Let's see what Drake is playing with on a multi-6. So Summoner Pack, Explorer, and Dryad.
So you have the Ashlock to turn off the Summoner's Pack, so it's between Dryad and Explorer.
Also, it's
And-
interesting that Vesuva is only non-bounce land, and if Francisco played a fetch land instead, Drake would have actually had to skip the land drop because you cannot play a bounce land and you need to return it.
Which is really funny, just time walk him. But I like taking the Dryad here because on the play you can slam your Ashok before your opponent can play the Dryad. So it's not like your opponent can ram into the Dryad. Oh, and Drake just naturally draws a castle.
Don't need to waste a Vesuva yet.
So now Francisco's kind of just leaning hard on his Ashok and Niv Mizzet, which is kind of a good 2-card combo. I mean, you have a card that shuts off your opponent's deck and a big clock that draws more cards. So
Yeah, I feel like Drake as Explorer, but with the
And
lands
cast
that
Explore.
with the currency in hand, he needs to wait one more turn to cast Explore.
Drake has some pretty anemic starts to his last 2 games.
Yeah, but I mean, in some matchups you can just like kind of play it slow, just get to your like 6 mana by turn 4 or 5, and just. So here's interesting. He's gonna play Uro or he's gonna play Ashiok. I would probably play. If you play Uro, you get to play Niv Mizzet next turn. That's pretty appealing. And the cards that Francisco knows in Drake's hand, I feel like only Summoner's Pact is stopped by Ashiok, and it feels like maybe there's one more turn or 2 before you can Summoner Pact for a Titan.
Yeah. Unless Drake top decks an Amulet here, and then I think Francisco would be incentivized to play the Ashiok first. But I think you're right. Like, just knowing the cards in Drake's hand, you can safely probably cast the Niv Mizzet first.
Yeah, Drake draw is really, really slow on a mold 2 and 6.
Yeah. He copies a Triome.
I feel like if you're like kind of forced to play Ashiok this turn, or you can slam Niv Mizzet. Yeah, Francisco plays it cautiously, and he plays Ashiok.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Because we know about the castle, so Francisco had access to Titan mana. So Francisco's playing the how do I lose this game line versus trying to get a clock on board and winning a turn faster.
I mean, I feel like against some of the combo decks, you don't actually need to win as fast as possible. You need to prevent them to do things, and you're gonna eventually win.
Exactly. And Ashiok is a good way to stop that, knowing that Drake has the Summoners back. So that's interesting. Do you think, I can't tell which Triome that is, but do you think Drake should have Summoners Pacted in response to the Ashiok if that Triome can make green mana? Because then he can pay for it. So at least you know he has a time.
He can actually could. Let me check the deck list.
Yeah, I can't see which Triome that is, but I wonder
sorry, I was looking the wrong deck list. Yes, the Temur Triome. Sketria Triome is the Rag or Temur color Triome. I think it's the only one in his deck list.
Yes. So unless Drake already has a Titan in hand, and so we know about the Pact and the Growth Chamber, and there's one unknown card. I wonder if he should have packed in response to the Ashiok.
Yeah, like double Valakut is pretty strong.
That's true.
I can kill Ashiok next turn. Like one land is like 6 damage.
Yep.
Yeah, so can deal bounce lances like already 12 damage, and Francisco's is at virtual 6.
So even Francisco's doing the math there. He's just like, yeah, this much mana, and this much land drops, and this much thing.
So Titan is lethal.
So Francisco
would help at stabilizing.
Francisco did a really cute play of milling with Ashiok, targeting himself, so he has enough mana to, or enough cards in the graveyard to escape Uro.
And putting one up at 21, but I still think Titan should be lethal because you have like 12 damage from just double bouncing the Simic land plus the 2 lands from the Titan. So that's 24 damage, and Uro puts you down up at 21.
I think it really just comes down to if Drake can actually naturally draw the Primal Titan, because obviously all the search effects are off the table here from the Ashiok.
Yeah, but you have redraw effects, you have explores. That
Mm-hmm. But with the Valakut, he could just kill the Ashiok thanks to the Dryad plus Valakut triggers.
Yeah, so Francisco is not dead yet, but is at 3.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do math, because so 6 damage go at Ashiok.
Mm-hmm.
Then it summons back Titan. It can deal like 12 damage to Francisco and play another land is another 6, so it's 18 damage.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the writing is on the wall. I feel like you need to take care of double Valakut and win in one turn. And I feel like Niv Mizzet deck cannot do it that quickly.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the only way Niv Mizzet wins this matchup is if they somehow, like, unless Amulet just has kind of like that fail rate of a combo deck, like you kind of need to lean all in on the Unworn Ego plan. Otherwise, I don't think you can outgrind their zombies.
Oh, I drew actually Vesuva. This is actually late Altis turn.
Oh gosh.
No, it's you can play Titan this turn too. So yeah, it's.
Mm-hmm. It's nicely played by Drake here.
Well played, Drake.
Amulet, Francisco's probably thinking, man, I should just register 3 Amulet Titan decks.
One with Karn.
Yeah, one with Karn.
I don't know what versions there are. Like one old school version with Hornet Queen, as they talked the other night.
You can run a Hive Mind version just for the old memes there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of versions of Amulet Titan. I mean, you can do the Amulet Titan all in on Valakut, like Drake had there. You can do Amulet Titan Karn. You can do an Amulet Titan kind of mid-range style deck with like a mainboard Tireless Tracker just to show Kevin how good Tireless Tracker can be when you play it with good cards.
Wow. Thoughtseize is a good card. Before Veil of Summer.
It's true. Veil of Summer single-handedly made me stop playing. I brewed a really cool Sultai Urza deck and ran Tireless Tracker Urza and Cryptic Command because you can do the lock just with Tireless Tracker, just like you could with Emery instead. But Veil of Summer single-handedly put me off that deck because it stopped every card in my deck that I cared about.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, counter that. No. And then when I realized I had to start playing my Cryptic Commands around Veil of Summer, like, oh, I'll tap your team and return my Mystic Sanctuary to my hand, and it was just bad. Not fun. I don't like that card.
A Cryptic Command should not cost 1 mana. Does not sound like a good rate.
No. The thing is, it's Cryptic Command, but it also sometimes does even more work than that because you can Veil of Summer preemptively too. Mm-hmm. You can Veil of Summer to give your permanents hexproof for the rest of the turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then have another Veil of Summer to count. Like you can just it does so much more.
It does.
It's a sweet card.
It's not.
The chat's wishing me a happy birthday, which my birthday is tomorrow. Yeah.
33 years?
33 years young, I like to think.
So old.
So ancient. That was a really neat match. Drake definitely kept some slower hands, which I think he felt like he could because he was playing against a slower deck in Niv Mizzet and made Francisco kind of react to him. We never saw any zombies. We really just saw kind of wins with the Valakut triggers. Dryad overperformed that. Makes me wonder if like a Dromoka's command is something that Niv Mizzet players might want to be able to make someone sacrifice their enchantment creature.
Mm-hmm.
Just a neat little tech card that could see some play in a Niv Mizzet list in the future.
Yeah, so many options with Niv Mizzet. Also, just the card pool of Pioneer, that's my most experience with Niv Mizzet. You have so many options, it's like really hard to like decide which fight to pick.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like Francisco like picked the fight of like removal spells, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's just hard. I mean, from like the Amulet players maybe, like you have so many like tools at your disposal where like you could have Valakut as a win, you could have Theodolita as a win, you could win with just straight Titan, and like there's the other version like that. I know Francisco that you can just run Karn, like you just have so many tools to your disposal, and you can attack the metagame a certain way. So it just Dryad is just another tool that they just have that also fixes your mana for back triggers, which is kind of absurd too. So it just does a lot.
It just
adds a lot to the deck.
With your utility lands, like you saw the Handweir Battlement, he got red mana. Drake got red mana a few times when he didn't have any red mana in play. But speaking about the flexibility of Amulet, one of my favorite things I ever did was an opponent took all of my Titans out of my deck and I beat them down with a plant token that I just kept giving +2 attack to and haste. And I just said, yep, just keep attacking you for 2 every turn. Can you handle that? Eventually I gave it double strike too and said, take that, 4 damage.
You should have played Classic Wolfrun, would have been faster.
So we have 1 match left tonight. That's my match. I'm stalling him. I'm playing against Caleb Schur. Caleb knocked me out of the Invitational a few years ago. He was on Storm. I was on Collected Company, and he knew exactly how to dismantle my deck. Like he did the pro Storm play of an early Grape Shot, just to basically being Anger of the Gods and wipe your board, and then just wrapped up the game a couple turns later. Brilliant player. So this should be an exciting matchup. I will not be playing Abzan Company against Caleb Schur, who I'm assuming will be on Storm, simply because I will have nightmares and flashbacks about that matchup forever if he beats me again. So I'm going to be playing Jund Lurrus, and I'm pretty excited about that. We had a little bit of Lurrus talk earlier in the evening, but quick little thing I should probably remember to point out more. Modern Streamers League is sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and Card Hoarder. Obviously, you guys know who Wizards of the Coast is. They've created this awesome game, and Card Hoarder is actually who I personally use for all my Magic the Gathering online card needs. They're great. Real fast, real easy, real safe. Man, that was a cool little ad I just made up right there. I'm happy with it. What do you think, Andrea?
Yeah, solid.
Yeah. You guys haven't dug into it yet, so I'm a little nervous because, like, these two historically... I mean,
your match is coming on.
My match is coming up. I'm a bit nervous of how you're going to grade my assessment of how I handled this. Assuming Caleb's going to be on Storm, I'm going to be on Jund. So we'll have that for you in just a moment. Before the match, I do have a deck tech video where I go over my Lurrus deck. It's something a little goofy, so please don't be too mean. I'll see you guys. We'll see you in just a minute. all you cool cats and kittens. It's St. Doom from the Modern Streamers League. Today we have Jund Lurrus, featuring a Nightmare Cat. The minute you meet one of these people who has companions in their deck, the first thing they have to do is whip out that card and reveal it. So Lurrus of the Dream Den is a companion that requires each permanent card in your starting deck to have permanent converted mana cost 2 or less. It means we can't run cards like Liliana of the Veil or Bloodbright Elf, but we get a cool cat instead. This is a big cat too, being a 3/2 lifelinker. So we get some really strong cards like Dark Confidant, Tarmogoyf, and Kroxa, which is a 6/6. So we have some pretty good finishing power. In addition to that, we also have Seal of Fire and Hexdrinker, Mishra's Bauble, and Nihil Spellbomb, which are just some really cool cards to bring back with the Lurrus of the Dream Den mechanic. So this whole deck, the most expensive permanent in the entire deck is Lurrus, but that's intentional because we get to play Lurrus from our sideboard. In order to combat some big mana decks, we have things like Assassin's Trophy, Pillage, Molten Rain, and Boil. I know some people run more Pillages and Molten Rains, but I really value the extra 2 damage that Molten Rain deals as a shock to my opponent, more than the ability to destroy artifacts, especially since I'm already running 4 Culligan's Commands and 2 Abrupt Decays and a Maelstrom Pulse main board. This deck is designed to beat up creatures. It's why I have 2 Anger of the Gods in the sideboard and a full suite of 3 Lightning Bolts, 1 Seal of Fire, 2 Fatal Push, some Wrenn and 6, some Abrupt Decays, lots and lots of removal spells. So when in doubt, we gotta Jund 'em out. Now what I always say is, judge me by the enemies I've made, and when I'm busy beating people in the Modern Streamers League with my big cat, I'm sure I'm gonna make a lot of enemies. So anyways, you cool cats and kittens, it's St. Doom. Have a lovely day.
And here we are, last match of the night with this St. Doom, still undefeated so far.
Hopefully we never have to see that deck check ever again.
Yeah, let's please lose with this deck just because of not seeing the deck tech.
I'm just telling you right now, MSL actually doesn't stand for Modern Streamers League. It stands for Make St. Doom Lose.
That's the goal. My goal of the league is just destroys the St. Doom.
So he mulliganed the 6, and this is actually his hand. Yeah,
I would have kept the 7 too. But...
Yeah. But I think mulligan aggressively to discard plus a card that makes him discard again, and then a card advantage with the clock is pretty good.
Caleb is actually on Storm.
Yeah. And it looks like he kept the hand thinking that Mike's going to be on Jund because it's just all cantrips and the gifts and given. And here, I think, yeah, he takes a repeal, takes away the clock, which makes sense. And here at this point, I think Mike's really hoping that was a thought. So he's gonna, you definitely want to take the gifts and giving away from the Storm player. That's like public enemy number 1. So Caleb's also kept a 1-lander, so I'm assuming he's
lands as an island and a Steam Vents.
Oh, I can't see it. Your face is covering the rest of the hand. So it looks like it's gonna be up the same regions.
Another Bob is actually really good in here.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most damage you can take from Dark Confidant is 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 4 Colagon's Command and 1 Maelstrom Pulse. So it's like the chance of getting die by your own Bob is lower than like.
That's the thing about how you build these like BGX decks is where if it wasn't for all this burn in the middle, like Dark Confidant would be so good just because your average CMC is just so much lower.
Electromancer was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, he draws double removal spell.
Yeah, just probably you want to K command, like kill and make this card, or just Bolt and Bob?
You could probably just Bolt and Bob, probably, just so you can get a bigger clock on board. But I guess Mike's opting for the K command, making Caleb discard one of his few cantrips.
Yeah, I feel like in this matchup from the Storm side, you want to keep as much card as possible in hand. Because in the end of the day, like John is gonna take a lot of your cards, so even like having access to an opt or just a certain visions is really useful if you can keep it to the late game.
This is also one of those matchups where we talked about having Lyris and having Liliana as a concession to having Lyris in your deck, where Liliana's still good in this matchup because you can constantly just take a card of your Storm player's hand. But now in this matchup with just Lyris, you have to really just do point discard spells. Is your only way to really attack Caleb's hand.
That's pretty good from Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a remand here.
Mm-hmm. Called it, which is a pretty good tempo play.
Spire Bluff Canal is a revealed card, so Caleb will eventually have 4 mana access to Gifts and Given, but not this turn.
Mm-hmm. So Spellbond's a pretty good draw. I hope knowing that.
Oh, it's draw Delta.
Yeah.
So no discard spell is actually pretty good for Caleb. I think you probably need to cycle a Spellbound to find this card.
I mean, you could always just Kroxa too, and just have him discard down. The other line though too is you can go Bolt 10, and then you trying to see go to 8, 6. No, I mean, I was trying to figure out if he could have, if he had two red sources here, he could have maybe end-step double to draw into a land and attack with the Ravine and Bob. That would be exactly lethal, but that is not the case.
I mean, maybe even like a small grape shot could actually do the job if Caleb gets lucky with the trigger from Bob.
Yep.
But then, like, Mike has double bolt in hand. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So discarding a land is actually pretty clutch. So now, like you said, double bolt. If Mike draws, but Gifts and Given.
But you don't have access to your graveyard because you have Spellbomb.
Yeah.
And Mike can actually activate Spellbomb this turn, but I don't know if he has to.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you would get. Probably like 2 ritual on Manamorphose and nope.
No, I think he's just going for a cantrip line. I think Caleb's assuming that Mike's only clock is maybe the Bob. And obviously he doesn't know that Mike has 2 bolts, so he actually has less turns than he realizes, which is probably why he went for the cantrip line.
I feel like Manamorphose is like default card that you get with Gifts and Given.
Yeah.
Best card in the deck.
It does everything. It filters, it cantrips. It technically can make mana if you have a mana reducer, a cost reducer in play.
So I feel like land and grape shot. No, okay, Mike is got it.
Yeah, so unless Caleb has another remand in play or somehow deals with this Bob, I don't see any main deck bolts in Caleb's list. It looks like this Bob is gonna get there.
There are like only 3 lightning bolt in the sideboard and not in the main board, and the only repeal already got taken.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Caleb could remand it, but I think he only has 1 island and 1 snow-covered island, so he has to fetch shock for a remand here. So I think it's pretty safe to bolt here, right?
Or maybe he's baiting on the remand by playing another Bob.
But if he remands it, he's dead anyway. He has to fetch shock for the second blue source, I think. I only see 1 island and 1 snow-covered island.
You are right.
So I think it's pretty safe to just kill him. Mike's like, do I just go for it?
Took him a while to think about it.
I mean, he's getting old, so you got to give it a little bit some time, you know. So sideboarding here, it looks like Spellbombs come in. I always curious how good Veil of Summer is in this matchup, just because it counters Gifts and Given and it counters Remand, but It's kind of like a reactive card where you kind of want to be proactive in this matchup. I don't know what you
Seems
think about it.
probably better than a Kolaghan's Command. Like Kolaghan's Command feels too clunky in this matchup. Yes, you can kill the Electromancer, but you don't kill Baral.
Hmm. And especially on the draw, you can't kill the Electromancer with a Gate Command.
Also, Mike shows his favorite Google documents.
Yeah, he's like I think boils are also kind of interesting. I don't think like effects like boil and choke from the BGX point of view, I don't really like against Storm because the games go on long enough to where they can operate off just 3 lands on turn 6 or turn 7.
Yeah.
I think it's just not worth the card.
I think I would keep the Maelstrom Pulse. Do I feel like they have the Goblin's plan or they do not?
I don't think
Oh, no Goblin.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. He's going for the 4 Area of Flames in the sideboard. So I would probably keep in the Maelstrom Pulse just for that.
Yep. I mean, I think the Empty of the Warden's plans making like 6 goblins against a discard deck isn't going to be good enough against Lurrus, where you just stonewall with a 3/2 lifelinker. So
Yeah,
Mike's
feel like
actually opting against the Veil of Summers also.
I don't know. I would cut the Kolaghan's Command just because they're like highly inefficient in killing like half of the only 4 creatures. The discard is fine, but
I mean, I think
Caleb
I'd rather shave on the Ren and 6s than the Kolaghan's commands.
yeah, Ren and 6 is also not spectacular in this matchup.
Also, the Assassin's trophies, because like you want a trophy their mana cost reducer, but then you also give them a land too. So I think
No,
kind of
you need trophy. They're gonna bring in the 2 Factor Fiction, the 4 Area of Flame, and probably the 3 Veil of Summer from the sideboard. So I feel like you actually need Assassin's Trophy here. And I feel like only 2 Abrupt Decay might not be enough to catch, and 1 Pulse might not be enough to catch all the Area Flame.
Yeah, I mean, I can see having like one more Assassin's Trophy than like the 4th Ren. Like, I don't think Ren is where I want to be in this matchup. Like, I understand you want to get your land drops flowing in this matchup, but like just in general, but I don't. I think I'd rather have something else on the 4th.
Yeah, it feels
Ren.
pretty useless.
It's crazy how Aria Flame can just get out of hand so fast. Like when they spoiled Aria Flame, I was like, I'm not getting 10 life. Like, sure, like whatever. And then they just cast 3 rituals, and all of a sudden I'm like net even, and then just go off with passing plays, and you're just dead.
This hand is pretty bad. No green,
Yeah.
double Kolaghan's Command that I would have sided it out. I'm gonna ask Saint Doom afterwards why he's gonna keep in like 4 Kolaghan's Command and running 6s in this matchup. I'm curious.
I mean, if you draw Bob, like you're gassed, but no, this hand's a lot better. Discarding the Croxa into Ren 6 seems like a better 6 than no green swords. So we'll see how Caleb goes. There's always that argument of who's favoring the Storm versus BGX matchup, and I think it really depends on how good the Storm palette is. I think if Storm has one of the top 5% of elite Storm players, I think they are favored against Jund, and I think if the Storm player is just mediocre and the Jund player is mediocre, I think Jund is slightly favored. So I always kind of err on the side of Caleb winning these BGX for Storm matchups.
That's all of the hope of the other 15 people in the league besides Mike.
Maybe I'm just fooling myself here.
So
Ooh.
brought in the bolts too.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just take the opt here.
Here's a classic. I wish my Inquisition was a Thoughtseize again. Where you want to take the gifts? You take the opt, yeah.
Well, Saint Doom needs to play more Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize is kind of a unique
He's playing
draw.
only 2 Thoughtseizes and 4 Inquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the split of the Inquisition and Thoughtseizes has always been a interesting discussion. Also,
Mhm.
like really high level pros never agree on which one is the best.
I think I'm always on the side of 3-3 until the meta is just infested with burn, which I think the meta was maybe like a week ago on Magic Online. So I can see a 4-2 split then. But now with burn kind of tapering off, I can see an argument for a 3-3 still, but and against the 4-2. But here's the Aria.
And look, Doom is gonna be so lucky he's gonna draw Zabrak Decay next turn.
If these one of these runs was that Sasha Trophy boarded out, nope. So these rituals just keep feeding into each other too. That's what's scary.
Yeah, feels like Caleb probably has the win next turn, or like close to it.
Because then he goes ritual, and then the bolt deals 6
Gifts,
damage at that
Gifts
point.
and Bolt.
Yeah.
It's waiting.
Oh, he's waiting. That's really interesting because I guess Mike does have the spell bomb in play, so you can't really go off with Past and Flames.
I don't think you need Passing Flames. You just need
The spells,
like
yeah.
you better get like a Factor Fiction and like some other cantrips.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can also just see Caleb just going end step, guessing given too, just being a little more conservative.
You let this resolve.
don't think it's-
Probably.
I mean, you could also just attempt to empty Caleb's hand like after this resolves, like before the trigger goes on the stack. Because I think we know all full cards in his hand, so he can go ritual, gifts, and then just get a bunch of instants and just ritual, bolt away. I think Caleb's just doing the math now to see how much damage he can actually deal.
It's probably going to discard one of the rituals, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure.
I mean, I can also see just discarding a bolt if he's mana. Yeah, he just discards the ritual because like the bolt's just gonna deal more damage.
And Nothing Doom is in trouble.
Yeah, and tapping with an Aria Flame with a bunch of cards in hand is pretty good position for Caleb.
Let's go, Caleb. Get the best spells and have Mike misclick.
I would be really surprised if, I mean, he has to just play Gifts and Given, right? I don't know what he's exactly waiting for.
Yeah, it's Gifts and Given, like Metamorphose and cantrips, I assume, and try to just deal all the damage to the face. You can probably get the Factor Fiction, maybe, too, in the pile.
No, he just goes for cantrips.
Yeah, just cheap.
Yeah. So here, 1, 3, 6 has
Did
10
Mike
damage.
click on the wrong pile? Oh, no, he did not.
He pinned Sleight of Hand and Metamorphose, I think.
Yeah.
So Caleb can theoretically kind of just string some spells together depending on how his Serum versions went. Because I think he had originally 10 damage in hand, not including the damage from the bolt, just from the Aria triggers. So another ritual, so that's pretty good. Draw off the Serum Visions.
So he knows the card with Serum Visions, maybe, depending on the scries.
Yep, so bolt deals exactly. Yep. That's
nice.
Crazy how fast like the Aria can just goes off. Like Aria just might go to 26 life and then just kill him.
No, Mike regretting some of the sideboarding. I feel like I want Glyph. I think it's like cheap enough pressure.
Yeah, I think Tarmogoyf is the best card in this matchup outside of discard just because it's the quickest clock.
The Crux is pretty clunky, and I don't think you can. I mean, it's like a discard a card, deal 3. It's not horrible.
Mhm. And there you go. He's shaving the K commands. I mean, I would honestly just shave the Ren 6s too.
Yeah, also X Drinker is, I don't think it's that bad of a card, because if you don't have like a discard turn 1, we have like double discard. You can go like discard into like X Drinker discard. So it's actually pretty efficient at closing out the game.
Yep. I think Hextrigger is one of the best cards in this matchup, also just because it's, like you said, it's just the most mana efficient clock. Like just having a 1-drop that actually deals damage is pretty clutch in these matchups where you just want to make sure your opponent feels some amount of pressure.
It's like Delver. So this hand seems horrible.
Yeah. I guess the cost of a 3-color deck is, you saw the first hands of possible games, he was missing a green source game 2 and now a black source game 3. And I think this, wow, he kept it.
This was a 6.
This is a 6, but this is hard because you wanted discard spell.
And
So,
Goif
like,
is a nice 0-1.
Wow, I don't know about this.
Goif the plant.
Because like your discard spell is the best part of the matchup, and not having any color sources to cast them, I think you can find a better 5. This is really interesting. How? Huh. Because like at this point, you're kind of just hoping you Veil Caleb, and that's kind of how you win this game, which is kind of.
I mean, you can play Goif, you don't. Never punished.
Yeah, always lucky.
Keeping like the worst hand ever and drawing exactly what he needs. That's Mike. That's how we went 10-0 the last time.
Oh my god.
And then he runs away in shame.
Oh my god.
We lost Mike.
I mean, I've never seen someone tilt off drawing exactly the land they need. Thoughtseize is kind of.
I think you probably need to like pulse Area Flame, or maybe next turn.
No, I think he pulse because he also makes Goif bigger too. Turns into a 4/5 and kind of. I don't know. I think I would just pulse here because I feel like if your opponent taps with an Aria Flame, you could just potentially just die. Yeah, but he just pulses. Man, never punished. This league is all about never getting punished for your mulligan decisions.
That's the only way you can win, I think.
I mean, he technically did beat you last season. I mean, I don't know how that happened.
I know it happened. He got Karn Pity Needle quick and named Saheli when I had a Kobo.
Oh, Caleb has brought in Veil of Summer too. Didn't have the breeding pool for it.
This is actually a good hand.
I mean,
it would have been great with Veil of Summer.
I mean,
not with Aria Flame.
I mean, at this point, do you take the repeal just so you can just kill Caleb faster? Because a Grape Shot technically isn't going to do much when Mike's at 30 life, and a Scavenging Ooze in play to turn off any. Well, I guess Scavenging Ooze ties the bolt too. I mean, if you want to protect your Scavenging Ooze, you can take the bolt. If you want to present the quickest clock, you want to take the repeal.
I feel like repeal also like allows you to like take 1 turn off, 2 turns off, depending on how big Goif is gonna be.
The thing is,
Grip Shot.
Well, the thing is, the Veil also protects you from the repeal too. So I can see you leaving repeal, but if you're gonna leave repeal, I think I'd rather just take the bolt because it protects.
I'm curious of no Lurus and no Ooze play here. It's like what are your and Lurus cannot be played. But Ooze could probably be enough played. It's like gives you extra clock and kind of baits the repeal even more.
Yeah, I
Because
think that's why
you
I'd rather just take the bolt and leave the
because
great shot.
the Goif is a 4 right now, if I can
Yeah.
see correctly. So actually playing Ooze would add 1 turn to the clock.
Mm. Oh my god, Veil of Summer is just so good. It just does everything you want to. Cantrip and like 2 for 1 your opponent and protect your threat is just absurd. And he just tapped Caleb out. That's just crazy. So here Mike's trying to go something, but I
I
don't
think,
see the need.
yeah, just like leave double activation up.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't think you want to shrink the Goif either. I don't know if there's any creatures in the yard. I don't think there are.
No, there are not. It's just land, instant sorcery, and enchantment.
Yep. So Kalo's under a lot of pressure here. Getting that Arya Flame Elf Repulse was kind of his win con because Grape Shot went at anything. And yep. Wow. That 6 was just you did not deserve to win that game on that 6.
Never punished.
Never punished.
That 6 was bad, but it was not as bad as my sideboarding decision in game 2 when I don't know why, but I didn't feel like Aria of Flame was going to be that scary. Like I knew it was bad. I was like, "Oh, I need Assassin's trophies." And then as I was siding out the Assassin's trophies, I'd cleanly just forgotten about the Aria of Flame, which is the reason I put them in the consideration pool to begin with. But the reason I didn't play Skoos there was because of the bolt, and I tanked so long because if I took the bolt, then I got to play the Skoos, but then the grape shot could still kill the Skoos. So then I was in a little
Yeah, but
spot.
if Scavenging Ooze dies, your Goif is gonna be a 5, and so it's gonna be like the same amount of clock.
Same clock.
I also don't
Yeah.
think I also don't think you mind if Caleb expends all his resources just to kill the Skoos versus like a bolt is just like the cleanest answer.
That's why I wanted him to repeal. I wanted to put him in a spot where he was tapping out to repeal, and I had the veil anyway. So even if he had like I don't know, a way to stop my veil, then it was still like not even a big deal there.
Mm-hmm.
So, question: why do you keep in like 4 Colligan's command and the 4 running 6s for game 2? I saw
was a
you went
mistake.
down to 3 and 3
Yeah.
after sideboarding.
The running, I still like a couple. My version of the deck is really cheating on lands. I run a lot of fetch lands, and I don't run that. I only run 21 lands, and I need to double spell. So running 6 is not very good in the matchup, but I need to do like a turn 2. I need to have a turn 2 play, and Tarmogoyf is probably arguably my worst turn 2 play, which is why I was considering shaving one. I want like a Kroxa, a Bob. I really want a Kroxa or a Bob on 2. Renin 6 is kind of like a Bob in some regards, where he just only draws with the lands, but he makes sure that the following turn I can cast a 3-drop, or I can do a 1-drop and a 2-drop. I think hitting your land drops in Jund is always important. So, but Kolaghan's Command, I was thinking of just having a couple extra discard outlets to stop like a top deck from my opponent. That's what I was thinking. I was envisioning a game state where I thought seized him and he didn't have too big of a hand, and then I was able to Kolaghan's Command on his upkeep and maybe knock him off of Aria of Flame or something. I don't think it. I definitely corrected that for game 3, but yeah, you shouldn't have 4 Kolaghan's Commands when you have better cards to bring in.
Just don't show Caleb your point of view. Hopefully, he wasn't one. He probably tilted off.
Oh, you mean with the keep on game 3?
Yeah.
I was considering going to 5, but I figured Caleb wasn't going to try to. I figured Caleb would keep a hand that wasn't a quick combo hand, but instead grind it a little bit. So I figured I had an extra turn or 2 to draw into that black source. It was a hand that basically was, if I draw into a black source, I think I'm okay. Otherwise, I am giving up the match. And I think every once in a while you need to accept that hey, I have 14 outs, so I think I'm all set there. And even a Mishra's Bobble off the top would have, because I think it turned 3 Black Swords would have been fine. I ended up drawing it right away, so it was fine.
No.
It definitely worked out for me. So I'm not going to complain. And unfortunately, at this point, we have 2 1-0s commentating right now, and we have 1-0-1 over there. Kevin, how does it feel to lose your first round in the Modern Streamers League triplet tournament? Now you are down to only 2 decks. I just want to ask, how does it feel?
I'd rather just not talk about it. We can just move on to what we're going to be playing tomorrow.
Mhm.
The losers bracket. You can catch me tomorrow there. Hope I can win. Oh, the burns.
Tomorrow should be a lot of fun. We will tweet about the matchups that will be airing. We will be having some more great commentary tomorrow. So looking forward to that. I will be there to just be a goofball and be made fun of by people that are jealous of my 10-0 run last season.
11 so far, and it's gonna stop soon. It's a promise and a threat.
Hashtag make same team lose.
I hope we meet in the finals, Andre. I hope we meet. I hope Kevin gets knocked out way before the finals, but I hope you and I meet in the finals. I think that would be a phenomenal way to close out this league, because you and I played week 2 last year, I think.
Yeah, it was either week 2 or 3. I think I played you and Francisco. It was back to back week 2 and 3, and both of the games were like Amulet with Card, and Karn just destroyed my day.
I was an Amulet with Karn. I was a Devoted Druid with Karn.
With Karn,
All I
yeah.
had to do, I didn't even have to use Devoted Druid, because I think you had like a Jeskai Saheeli. I just landed Karn, plussed him so you couldn't bolt it, and said, enjoy. Like, and I guess, I believe, you guys can all go back and check out the YouTube video, week 2 Modern Streamers League. You can see the match we're talking about here on YouTube. Heart of the Cards, that's what they're talking about in the chat right now. Is it a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, I think?
Yes, it is. But I think you paid off the Mother Shuffler somehow.
I mean,
Spider
I'm still
Space
under the.
definitely top decked way better than me. What was that, last night when he was beating up Kevin? Spider Space definitely top decked like a champion to beat Kevin. It was a little. I felt bad for Kevin, but I was also supporting Spider Space, so it was a little torn there. I wasn't sure who I wanted to win.
The story of the league is just hashtag never punished, I guess.
I will actually defend. I'm going to defend that. I didn't have any discard, but I think that hand was, like I said, as long as I drew a Black Sword, I think that hand was fine, because I had removal, I had Scoos, and I had Veil. So I have like an avenue I can attack. And I believe I had the answer to Aria Flame too. I just needed that black land. Needed that bad.
Yeah.
And you drew the black land into a discard spell.
Oh yeah. It was perfect. just as we just drew it up,
Never punished.
Always lucky.
What matchup are? Let me see if I can. There's got to be a way I can pull up the bracket here. Let me see if I can add the bracket right here. Nope, that's not the bracket. I'm going to add the bracket. What matchup are you guys most looking forward to in the winner's bracket coming up?
Let me try to pull it up on somewhere. So it's Ghost Empire against Spider Space, me against Capons, Gareth against Aspiring Spike, and Drake against Mike. I'm not looking forward to my matchup, since Capons plays all the Hate Bear decks, and like 2 of my 3 decks are like stone dead to Hate Bears.
Yeah.
And the other one is Humans, and Capons actually like easily beat Humans yesterday. So not looking forward to that matchup for sure.
I'm excited to watch that. That should definitely be a good matchup. Capon's definitely showed that he knows how to play those taxes decks last night, and you're a very, very, very good player. Kevin,
Mhm.
who are you playing up in? They can pull that bracket up too.
I mean,
Um,
obviously your match because I just want you to lose. That's the easy break there.
Yeah, and Drake is really good, so it's gonna be easy loss for Mike this
Yeah,
time.
I'm
we'll
obviously going
see.
to be fanboying Drake or all of your opponents until this tournament is over.
Until I end it like 10-0 again.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not.
So
I'm gonna
Kevin,
quit the league if you go 10-0. I'm gonna quit Magic.
that's what Kevin said too. If I go undefeated again, he's quitting Magic forever. So I don't want to do that just because I want Kevin to keep playing Magic. So Sodek and KO Diamonds, Dylan Hand and Vizquiz, Fluffy Wolf and Yama Killer, and Francisco and Caleb will be playing in the losers bracket coming up. So we're actually going to be coming up where pretty soon, I believe the way the tournament's laid out is there are going to be 4 players eliminated very quickly because there's gonna be a bunch of losers from the losers bracket go to the elimination bracket and they are forced to play. So we will have 4 players that will be 0-3 and out eliminated as early as next week, which is going to be very, very exciting. So we are going to be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time until this league is over, which should be about 4 weeks. Andrea, you gonna take the whole thing, or is your goal still not to win, but just to make sure that I don't win?
I mean, the goal number one is to win. Like the side quest for extra gold is to kick out Saint Doom from the tournament.
Kevin, what is your goal? Is your goal to get at least one more win in here?
I mean, my line here is just one win. One win, I'm happy. My
Okay.
ultimate goal is just have 15 players to beat you. So if I have my odds are pretty stacked against you. If I
It
have
is.
any of
It
the other
is.
15 players, I'll be pretty happy.
The thing is you can't. If you beat me once, I'll still be here with 2 more decks. You beat me twice, I'll still be here with 1 more deck. You got to beat me 3 times. The winner of this tournament is going to be the only player who has less than 3 losses. And that's I think a really exciting way to play because once we get into the playoffs and everything else, there's going to be a lot of repeat head-to-head play with a lot of players. Maybe they don't have too many decks to choose from, or maybe they still have a lot of decks left if they're in the winners bracket. But either way, I think it's going to play out in a really exciting manner.
I think it'd be really cool to see once it goes over where the winner has 3 decks and in the finals the winner one of the player has 3 decks, one person has one. And if the person with one deck beats all 3, it would just be insane.
You know what? I have a new goal. I'm going to lose 2 matches just so I can go in the elimination bracket and then beat somebody with my one final deck and force Kevin to consider his MTG career.
That'd be the worst Cinderella story.
Would it be a Cinderella story if I did it twice, though? Would it?
No, I would just switch to Hearthstone.
Hearthstone Streamers League coming up next.
Yeah.
It's been
You're not an underdog anymore, so
no. I think I definitely was last league. I'm not anymore. People are not. People are rooting against me actively, which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun to be the villain of the league, at least for two players.
Yeah.
More than 2. 15.
I'm pretty sure Francisco's on my side. Drake might be against me, but I think Francisco's on my side here.
He's just pretending. He's keeping his spot, but pretending to be in your side.
We'll see.
I don't know.
I'm excited to see who I end up playing for the remainder of the league. It's going to be fun over the next few weeks. I'm glad everyone in the chat was able to hang out with us a bit. I'm really, really thankful that you two were able to do commentary. As always, you do a fantastic job. Once again, we are sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and Card Hoarder. Andrea, what was your favorite match or favorite play of the night?
I need to do. I think was need to look at the matchup again to refresh my mind.
So we had Fluffy Wolf against Garrett Martin. That was Turtles against Abzan Company. We had Aspiring Spike against Yama Killer. That was the really fast Delver versus Neo Brand. We had I believe the longest match of the night was Francisco against Drake and Niv Mizzet against Amulet Titan. It closed out with me against Caleb Schurer, Jund Luris against Storm.
I feel like the match I probably enjoyed the most was Fluffy Wolf, just because of the turtle deck and was actually pretty good. And Garrett got pretty lucky and got the game. But that was a good match to watch. Like, was really close from the beginning to the end, all of the games.
Yes. I think it's important. I think that's something that I really like about most Modern Streamers League matches is we're all really good players. So, well, I mean, I don't know how great I am. I think I get pretty lucky sometimes. But we have 15 really good players and one luck sack. And so the level of play, everything comes down to a top deck, a tiny little decision, like Fluffy Wolf missing lethal game 1 from a really cool play, or K-Ponce having that really nice Ghost Quarter move last night. Francisco putting his opponent in a spot where Drake had to have exactly a bounce land in hand, otherwise he bought himself a turn with how he positioned that Bring to Light. I thought it was a lot of really neat, tight play all around. Garrett also had a really neat line game 1. I think he didn't fetch a land but he could have or something just to keep his life total up exactly 1 turn. It was a really, really great, tight games all around. Kevin, what was your favorite moment or match?
I think when Francisco lost to his own Amulet Titan baby, that's just desserts there. But I think just to echo what you were saying about the tight play, I think that just echoes from last season where between Team Fire and Team Ice, we lost by 1 match. And you kind of just reflect on all the matches. And there's like a one little tiny top deck here, a one little play there. And it's like that one match might have just swung between Team Fire and Team Ice. And you see that continue on, like you said, with how Garrett's been playing. And yesterday with Kevin just go scoring the Horizon Canopy to play the fast land of cast as Displacer is like stuff like that, where it's like those little things add up. And it's kind of like when you watch football where they say it's a game of inches, and it's kind of applied here where a game of inches where you have 3 decks and that 1 little inch you lose, all of a sudden you lose a deck. That's all. And that's a big, so it's fun to watch, and I'm excited to see the rest of the matches in the league.
Too. I'm excited for all of them. We do have more Modern Streamers League content tomorrow night. I will be 1 whole year earlier. I think that's how calendars work tomorrow. 1 whole year older, not earlier. I think that's how calendars work. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys can all hang out with me on my birthday. We will be tweeting out who the commentators are. We'll be tweeting out the matches again. So definitely follow us on Modern Streamers League on our Twitter. Check out our YouTube if you missed any content. And as always, we will be here and we will be back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights. Oh, last parting words, Andrea?
Bye.
Kevin?
# make Mike lose. Mike St. Doom lose.
Tune in to see if I can lose. This might not even be possible. It might just be Modern Streamers League means St. Doom cannot lose.
Oh, God.
Please, no.
Kevin's nightmare. Kevin's and Andrea's nightmare here. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out. We will be back tomorrow night. Have a good night.